Hello SUMC, Rob here, reporting in from one of SUMC Music's remote outposts with some more thoughts and another friendly check-in to continue to hope you're safe and well and to encourage you to stay in touch. This week, I was reminded of something we musicians deal with in some form all the time, but most times even we don't think about it consciously. Silence! You know, the space between the notes. Back in the journalistic studies phase of my life, my journalism professors used to talk about white space, which is to say, the part of the paper that the ink doesn't hit. What size font do you use for a headline, and what amount of white space is left around it? Or how wide are the gaps between columns of text in a newspaper? Maybe now there's equivalent attention paid to the layout of a news website. I haven't been in that journalism classroom for quite a while. But it can be important. Visually, how cluttered or clean do you want the whole picture to look? In the music world, I can play a bunch of notes in a connected way, da-da-da-da-da, or in a disconnected way, dot-dot-dot-dot-dot, and the effect can be very different. After some Sunday morning choir anthems, there's this pause at the end after the last chord where nothing happens, nothing moves, no one claps or mms or even breathes. And there are also times when the congregational response happens right away or even before the anthem's done. One time, I was listening to an episode of the old Prairie Home Companion radio show, and there was a string quartet on playing Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings. And if you know the piece, you know it ends very quietly. But before its last dying, gentle, sad chords happen, there's a tremendously forceful and sustained chord, followed by what's known in the biz as a grand pause, a period of intentional silence. The only problem was, the audience was full of people who, by no fault of their own, have lived in a period of history in which we've been trained to respond immediately after a tremendously forceful and sustained chord, followed by any silence at all. Heck, I'm a marching band guy, so I'm part of what trained people to react that way. Mea culpa. So the Prairie Home Companion audience burst out into appreciative applause, and the string quartet then soldiered on, played the last few chords quietly, and everybody felt a bit awkward and apologetic. Except for the people in the audience who knew the Adagio for Strings well, who probably gritted their teeth and thought, heathen. Silence isn't something we deal with in our lives a lot. Waiting for a movie to start, even before the previews, music is playing, or even whole other movie trivia quiz videos, and they're usually loud too. Go to the supermarket, music's playing over the PA system. Even refueling my car, I get serenaded by music or an ad or something being played over speakers mounted inside the gas pump. So, in times when there's no sound happening, for a lot of us, no shade, no shame, but it can feel weird, like something's missing, like something's wrong. In our singing school activity just this past week, after having dealt with music notation and do, re, mi, and making sounds in certain ways, we've had our first moment of, okay, that doesn't look like an egg with a vertical line sticking out of it. It looks more like a brick sitting on a line, or a line drawing of a bird flying sideways. What's that? It's a rest. It's the absence of sound. And as soon as I describe a musical rest that way, I can hear one or two of my grad school music professors tisking and saying, a rest is just as much of an event as a note. For singers, sometimes a rest is our opportunity to take a breath, so as to sing the next note, and so we see that silence as utilitarian, as a pit stop to refuel, rather than a contribution to the piece itself. I smell analogy. Our lives can be like that. Particularly in this time, in this place, with our schedules filled to overflowing with stuff to do. If there's a moment that isn't full of stuff to do, we either see it as a chance to grab a breath, grab a snack, in preparation for diving back into the fray, or we see it as weird, odd, unnatural. What do I do? When I used to go to the school orchestra concerts that number one niece and number one nephew played in elementary school particularly, the songs they played as a group would start out at one speed, and gradually get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. I only half-jokingly theorized that the string-playing kids were unnerved by silence, and they wanted to get to the next sound as soon as possible. I still don't think that's far wrong, and I think we carry that with us into adulthood. I got thinking about the periods of time during which I work from home, all by my lonesome. Even while I'm sitting at my laptop working, I find myself unconsciously humming an earworm of a tune, or, well, if I'm being honest, yeah, I talk to myself. Don't judge. And lately, as part of making graphics to use in promoting my little audio podcast, speaking of projects that involve sound, I've been playing with a relatively simple computer function which can erase bits of an image. I use that function to take out everything in the image except its subject, usually a person's headshot, and, it's remarkable how busy the background stuff in a photograph can be. It takes a lot of clicks to prune away all the stuff behind the person. Why do I bring this up? Well, Pastor Lee briefly prayed over us at the beginning of our staff meeting this week, and during that prayer, she pointed out the importance of silence. It's hard to find, living where and when we do, but if you can manage it, carving out moments for silence can change your perspective on things. Distractions are hard to keep out of our lives. Whether I'm being a musician or not, I have a hard time maintaining even a short period of silence, utter silence. There's a difference between no sound and silence, I think, and as Advent gets closer and closer, and with it the Christmas holiday preparation time of the year, it's going to be tougher and tougher to focus on any of that. But I'm willing to give it a whirl. It might even help. Anyway, please check back here every Friday afternoon if you like for more video hellos here on SUMC's Facebook page or on the SUMC YouTube channel, Sudbury United Methodist Church 2501. My email address will appear here momentarily. Please feel free to use it any time for any reason. And as always, if you need to get in touch with any church staff people for any reason, please do during normal business hours, because no matter how, no matter what, doing the work of the church together is the big thing. Keep in touch, keep the faith, stay connected.